Wow, Vishali. Look at this. We are in front of the most successful business professionals and Life100 award winners today. Oh my God, I'm just taking this in right now. My stomach, I feel butterflies in my stomach. My palms are sweaty. My throat's drying up. I'm thinking I'm gonna have a panic attack.
Helen, calm down, calm down. Remember what we learned at the youth leadership program? It's entirely normal to feel nervous before a presentation. So please, for your sake, take a deep breath, relax, stop thinking about yourself, smile, and imagine the entire audience naked. Now, does that feel better, Helen?
That kind of makes me feel better. Except for the fact my audience is naked. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, you may be wondering why a bunch of children are here to say anything insightful about business. But we've learned at WowP so many things. And we bet that we can make you more successful in your profession or business venture.
At the youth leadership program, we learned 3 key concepts: effective presentation, leadership, and teamwork. So we've asked some of our WildP friends to help us with this presentation. Arun and Gautaman are going to talk about effective presentation techniques that you too can use at your next client presentation, and we'll guarantee you that it'll blow your clients away and may even win you the business. Come on, guys.
Thank you, Shirley. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Gautaman and I are here to share with you our top 10 tips on how to deliver a killer presentation that will captivate your audience each and every time. It may all look simple, but it takes a lot of practice. And that's what we do at YLP. We practice, practice, and practice. Because we all know practice makes
perfect.
That's right. Tip number 1. It's natural to feel nervous before the presentation. Steve Jobs, one of the greatest presenters, innovators, and inventors of our era, said that he felt like throwing up before each one of his presentations, just like how Ahilan felt before. That's why it's important to use some of the tips Vishali mentioned. Yes, that does include imagining your audience members being naked.
Tip number 2, make good eye contact. Avoid looking at your feet or staring at the podium, and make sure that you're not looking at one person in the audience for too long. Try and focus on all the individuals in the audience.
Tip number 3, speak naturally. Although it may be appropriate to read short passages, avoid reading from a script. Be entertaining. Provide personal stories. Some of the greatest speakers use their personal anecdotes to create an emotional connection with their audience.
Tip number 4, use visual aids to help enhance your performance. You can use things like pictures, videos, diagrams, charts, and PowerPoints. But don't overdo it. You can try using the 10, 20, 30 rule for PowerPoints. Your PowerPoint should have no more than 10 slides. Your presentation should be no longer than 20 minutes, and the text on each slide should be no less than 30-point font.
Tip number 5, stand rather than sit. Even move around a little, but don't pace back and forwards like a trapped animal.
Tip number 6, rehearse your talk and check your timing. You have to make sure that your presentation ends in time for questions if appropriate. Did you know for each of Steve Jobs' presentations for a new product release party, he practiced for 30 hours. That's why he's one of the best.
Tip number 7, vary your tone, pitch, and volume throughout your presentation to keep the audience engaged and interested. Put emphasis on key phrases throughout your presentation. Speak clearly and try facing your audience at all times. Avoid speaking in a monotone voice and turning your back to the audience.
Tip number 8, structure your presentation. Begin your presentation by telling your audience about what your talk is going to be about. And then continue on by talking about the main ideas of your talk. And finally, wrap up your presentation with a summary of all your points.
Tip number 9, Channel your nervous energy. Be relaxed, but stay alert. And the most important thing is to remember to have fun.
Last but not least, tip number 10. Answer any question the audience has, as honestly and as concisely as you can. And if you don't know the answer to a question, tell the audience that you'll follow up.
So these are our top 10 winning tips for a killer presentation. Now I'd like to pass it on to Preetu to explain the rest of our winning tips.
Thanks, Arun. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A leader is not born. They're nurtured and developed. All of you here today have potential to be leaders. And some of you are already leaders in so many ways. We all know and respect some of the world's greatest leaders. Mahatma Gandhi, Winston Churchill, Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King Jr., and personally, my idol, Steve Jobs. At the Youth Leadership Program, we learned that leadership is the capacity to turn vision into reality. Here are the top 10 leadership tips to help all of you become better leaders. Tip number 1, they are led by example. Leaders need to show, not just tell. For example, your boss tells you to work late, but at promptly 5 o'clock, he goes to go golfing. When leaders don't practice what they preach, it is almost impossible for a team to work successfully together.
Tip number 2, leaders need to know their limits. If they certainly know that they cannot accomplish the project, they will delegate it to the right people to get the job done.
Tip number 3, a little humility goes a long way. Leaders need to share the spotlight and be confident crediting others.
Tip number 4, leaders need to have mentors. No man is an island, they say. Mentors are people which these leaders look up to for extra help and advice. Mentors could include, for example, family members, friends, or famous people.
Tip number 5, communicating effectively. Leaders want to be heard and understood.
Tip number 6, avoid common pitfalls. Everyone makes mistakes, but as Jim McCowney, the author of 100 Worst Failures, claims, you can learn from mistakes. Also, Albert Einstein also quotes that a person who has never made a mistake in life has never accomplished anything new. But, being said that, does that mean that you can repeat the same mistake over and over? No, you cannot.
Tip number 7, leaders need to be productive. Leaders don't like to waste other people's time along with their own time. We all know to achieve anything in life, we need to work hard.
Tip number 8, leaders learn from the past. A famous, well-known quote is, a man who does not learn from the past is doomed to repeat it.
Tip number 9, leaders need to have a wide network. In order for two leaders to communicate with each other, they need to inspire followers. Some great websites on the internet for two leaders to communicate include Facebook to LinkedIn.
And finally, tip number 10, leaders never stop improving. Leaders need to take initiative, collaboration, motivation, and using these traits and elements, they can reach out of their comfort zone and try something new, instead of always trying something they're used to. This will not improve their leadership skills.
Wow, thanks Aaron and Preetu. You both certainly sound like leaders of tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you think? Now I'd like to call on the dynamic duo of Audrey and Theron to talk about teamwork.
Thank you, Vishali. Theron, let's make our presentation a little more interesting. How about we do a really interesting demonstration on the importance of teamwork?
I have a brilliant idea. Why not test the audience on what our fellow YLP members have told them tonight?
Wow, that's a great idea. So, how would this trivia work?
Well, the people at your table are your teammates. We'll be asking questions based on the tips you have heard tonight.
Oh, so we'll be putting two random tables against each other to battle for the point. The first person to shout it out wins a point for their table. So, you guys ready? Come on, give me some energy.
With this much excitement, I hope you remembered all the tips. Woo. Yes, there are some more. If you listen more, you get an extra point if you listen more. Come on. Work with all your teammates. Yeah. Good job. Yeah, good job. Point for this table number 19.
Okay, next. Thank you for bearing through that very exciting trivia with us. And as you've heard tonight from our other YLP members, you have learned the three key aspects of public speaking: effective presentation, leadership, and teamwork.
Arun and Gautam focused on 10 tips for effective presentation. Some of these tips include using the 10-20-30 rule for PowerPoints or having proper eye contact with your audience.
Preethu and Aaron shared with us 10 tips to help you become a better leader. The suggestions they gave us sound simple, like knowing your limits as a leader and always learning from your past.
But that is not all we learn at YLP. We focus on a variety of skills that includes how to run an effective meeting or using your time effectively. As Preetu had said, leaders are not born. They are nurtured and developed. And for YLP, we are becoming the leaders of tomorrow. Thank you.